A housing project in Jasper is continuing to move forward. We'll have more on that. Plus, planning is continuing for the Huntingburg Stellar Communities projects, and Chris Coyle is the next in our candidates series tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. Redevelopment of the former Jofco building is continuing to move along. Last night, the Jasper City Council approved writing a letter of support for the project. Project developer Miller Valentine Group needs the letter of support from the city in order to secure related tax credits from the state. Those tax credits would come from the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. The credits would help to keep rent for the new units below market rate. Now, the project is seeking to convert a large part of the former Jofco building at 13th and Vine Streets into apartments for working folks. The factory originally closed in the early 2000s, though the office space was being used before Jasper Group purchased Jofco last year. The office space is now occupied by Cash Wagner. The project was originally proposed at the council's May meeting. Last month, Jasper Mayor Terry Seitz called the project a great opportunity for further development in the city.
Ultimately, I think this is just a wonderful opportunity. It would be our first ever program in Jasper of that nature. What this would be is a below market rate workforce housing and in a complex that would likely be having about a $12 million development in a building that for a long time has been emptied, even though it housed the corporate offices of Jofco. And subsequently, it's taking something that we thought perhaps someday would be an albatross and make it into an eagle.
Now, if development were to take place, the city of Jasper is offering $500,000 in tax abatements or related incentives. $450,000 of that amount is for on-site work. The project is expected to cost $12 to $13 million. A late morning fire at a Jasper fast food restaurant resulted in damage to the building's interior. Just before 11:30 a.m., firefighters with the Jasper Volunteer Fire Department responded to the Rally's restaurant along US 231 near the crossing, where Jasper Fire Chief Kenny Hoaxsong says the blaze was discovered by firefighters in a restroom storage cabinet. Firemen were able to knock out the blaze in a matter of minutes. Hoaxsong says exactly what started the fire has not been determined yet. He estimated damage at about $1,500. 32 men with 3 trucks responded to the call. Firefighters were on scene for about 30 minutes. DuBois County Treasurer Chad Blessinger is reminding taxpayers that the deadline is approaching for their second installment of property taxes. Blessinger says the final day to pay your second installment on time is Monday, November 10th. The Treasurer's office is open from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. It will also be open Saturday, November 8th from 8 a.m. to noon and until 5 p.m. on Monday the 10th. Tax statements were mailed back in April. Blessinger says second notifications will not be mailed. If a taxpayer needs a duplicate statement, they should contact the Treasurer's office. That number is 481-7080. Progress continues on the Stellar Communities effort in Huntingburg. Yesterday, the core committee representing the city went to Indianapolis for their first meeting to review the city's complete application. This also marked the first look at funding for each project associated with the Stellar application. Now, the core committee met with representatives of the Lieutenant Governor's Office, the Indiana Housing Authority, the Indiana Department of Transportation, and the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. The main goal of the meeting was to coordinate state and local funding for each individual project. City representatives also heard about funding cycles from the state and began developing a rough timeline for these projects to be done. Now, there are 8 different projects that the city will fund. These include redeveloping the former St. Joseph's Hospital property for senior housing, a 3-phase heritage trail, and a downtown park area, among others. Huntingburg Mayor Denny Spenner says all continues to go well. He is asking folks to stay patient as this process continues.
Again, I think it's a long process. It's a very we said when we started the celebration that it's a process that's going to require some patience. And that includes patience by the mayor. we have to follow some timetables that are not under our control. But the thing that I can say is that the positive momentum that we have is continuing.
A full report on yesterday's meeting will be given to the Huntingburg City Council at their next regular meeting. That meeting is now underway this evening at Huntingburg City Hall. Now, the city originally received the stellar designation back in August. The city will be getting $10 million a year in funding over the next 4 years. Bridge cleaning projects along Interstate 64 in eastern DuBois County have now been rescheduled. Officials with the Indiana Department of Transportation say maintenance crews will be closing lanes of I-64 between State Road 162 at Ferdinand and State Road 66 in Crawford County. Now, that work is set to start Monday now. It had been set to start today. Officials say work is expected to last about a week. Drivers are being asked, as always, to slow down and stay alert near the inspection crews. For construction updates and traffic alerts, you can follow INDOT on social media on their Facebook and Twitter pages. You can also access INDOT's TrafficWise Traveler Information Service by going online to indot.carsprogram.org. A new hiking trail that takes users through a purported Indian burial ground and across a scenic landscape filled with native plants and wildlife has opened in southwestern Indiana. The 1.5-mile Indian Hill Trail runs through the 7,500-acre Patoka River National Wildlife Refuge. Assistant Refuge Manager Heath Hamilton says the land in Indiana's prime coal country was never mined because it's believed to hold an Indian burial ground. The Indian Hill Trail is near Oakland City. It's a double loop where hikers can walk a full outer loop or opt for a shorter option. Hamilton says hikers might see bobcats, quail, and other wildlife along the trail, which is lined with native sumac and shrub berries. Time is running out for Indiana residents who want to vote in next month's midterm elections to obtain the proper identification they'll need to cast ballots at polling places. Indiana law requires residents to show either a driver's license or a state-issued identification card at polling places before they can vote. With the November 4th election now less than 2 weeks away, the Bureau of Motor Vehicles announced earlier this week that all license branches will be open on Monday, November 3rd to allow residents lacking ID to obtain it at their local branch. License branches are normally closed on Mondays. The BMV also says that on Election Day, November 4th, license branches will be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Those are the same hours that Indiana's voting sites will be open. Speaking of the BMV, we conclude this evening with the agency releasing a new video aimed at awareness of new moped and motorized scooter laws. The BMV says the video will help those drivers license and operate their scooters. A new state law requiring the licenses for scooters is set to take effect on January 1st. The video will explain which documents are needed to obtain a scooter license and the different types of licenses needed for various scooters. BMV Commissioner Don Sneemus says that the new video will help scooter drivers to comply with the law. The video also describes the new scooter license plates that will be required. Now, you can go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/18WJTS to watch the video in its entirety. All right, coming up after the break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Gooksell, and Inform with Chris Coyle. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.